Washington Journal continues.
Congressman Tim Ryan, I want to get your reaction to the front page of the Detroit Free Press. Congress ready to sink bailout. What's the status?
Well, I think there's some problems in the Senate. There's no question about it. And, you know, it has a lot of us concerned. I have a GM plant in my district, thousands of people who work there. They just added a third shift with an additional 1,000 people a few months ago, and then recently just cut back 1,000 workers. The third shift is still going to stay on, but they got rid of 1,000 workers. So we're very, very concerned with what we're hearing.
Well, what do you think can happen? I mean, what are you talking about with your leaders over on the House side?
Well, I think the House stands ready to act. I mean, we obviously have some concerns. This is not going to be a blank check, but at the same time, I think in the Senate right now, it just seems like they don't have the votes to find any kind of way to infuse some cash loan to the auto industry. So it's pretty scary. I think we're really playing with fire here.
There's some alternative proposals out there, taking the $25 billion from the $700 billion rescue package and allocating it to the automakers. The White House would like to see, is opposed to that idea, but some in the Senate would like to see that happen. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I'm for it. I mean, it's hard to say, you know, we have this tremendous, you know, tsunami that's coming in the financial market. So here's $700 billion. But we have the same thing happening in manufacturing in the auto industry that has, you know, 8 times the multiplier effect when it comes to, you know, the ripple throughout the economy. But we can't even carve out $25 billion for the auto industry. It doesn't make any sense. So I think, you know, we stand ready to act in the House. But, you know, obviously there's problems in the Senate, and I don't know what the solution ultimately is going to be over there.
If Congress adjourns later today, if the House leaves, what will you do until January? Will you be working with the administration? What will you be doing on this issue?
Well, I know the House is going to remain open if we need to come back. I don't think the Speaker is going to shut the House down. So we'll stand ready to act if we have to come back here in some kind of emergency session. But I think in the meantime, you're going to have, you know, the Financial Services Committee and the leadership in the House working with the auto industry, working with the Senate primarily, probably some incoming senators to try to figure out exactly how we're going to do this. I know in early December we're going to have kind of an economic security summit where we're going to be talking to a lot of economists about just how to approach this. I mean, this is a very complicated issue. There's no silver bullet, but you know, we stand ready to work with whoever can help us get this done.
What about the critics like Professor Morisi who say they're going to go into bankruptcy anyway? So why should we give them $25 billion that we're not sure that they can even repay?
Well, I'm not in the business of predicting the future, and I don't think he can say with any certainty that they're for sure going to go bankrupt. So I think that's an assumption that economists sometimes have to make. But I'm not confident that that has to be the case. I mean, you look at the tsunami that's coming. You have the mortgage crisis. You have the whole credit issue. You have a downturn in the economy, budget deficits, trade deficits. All of these problems converged on an auto industry that, quite frankly, wasn't prepared to move into the next generation of energy-efficient vehicles, but they got caught up in this. They started to move in that direction, and then this economic crisis hit. So they have a lot of responsibility to take, but at the same time, you know, do we really want to see the auto industry crumble? And it'd be devastating. It'd be devastating, especially in the industrial Midwest, but throughout the country.
Can you say with 100% confidence that $25 billion is enough and they won't be back to Congress for more money?
I don't think anybody can say that, but it's a loan. I mean, I think that's what's important for people to really recognize. This is a loan. We did it for Chrysler in 1979 and actually made money on the deal because at that point, leaders of the country recognized that a $25 billion loan, or whatever the loan was at that point, a lot less, wasn't, you know, the cost of not doing it was a lot more than
when people look at that 1979 model, they also point to Lee Iacocca and say it was his leadership that brought that company back. Do you think the leadership of these automakers should step down?
Well, I think it needs to be part of the negotiation. I'm not ready to call for anybody's head yet because I think in some instances, like General Motors, I mean, they're moving in the right direction. I think with the Volt, they're coming into this plug-in vehicle that I think people are going to buy, not only in Ohio but across the country. So market for it, something we could export as well. So I don't know if we're ready to call for people's heads, but I think our proposal says that we're going to limit executive pay while you're getting this. There's going to, you know, you're not going to be able to get these golden parachutes. That will be a part of the proposal when we give it. So I don't know if we're going to call for anybody's head, but at the same time, we are going to limit the kind of money that they'll be able to make.
Okay, Representative Tim Ryan represents the 17th